Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. The topic of my talk, as she mentioned, phonological analysis of Sofçi in Şanlıurfa dialect of Turkish through consonants. So, the status of the phoneme corresponding to the Turkish grapheme Sofçi is ambiguous, and therefore there have been different treatments regarding its nature and varying behaviors in morphologically and phonologically derived environments. So, as for the different treatments, we have Göksel and Kerslik, 2005. They claim that it doesn't surface at a segmental level, therefore it's deleted. And as Ergin 2012, he maintains that it's a velar fricative when it's preceded by a vowel or when it's in intervocalic position. And it's not consonant but a semi-vowel, but it assimilates to the adjacent vowel. And some claim that it's considered to be a glide, like Selen 1979. So clearly, much remains to be answered about the status of this phoneme that corresponds to the Sofçi in Turkish. So research that have been so far about the status of this phoneme have always focused on Istanbul dialect of Turkish, and there hasn't been really much attention about the other dialects that are being spoken in Turkey. So studying other dialects can provide some novel insights about the formal status of this phoneme. So this study aims to examine the nature of the phoneme corresponding to Sofçi grapheme in Şanlıurfa dialect of Turkish. So main question of this study is there any difference between consonantal features of the phoneme corresponding Sofçi in standard Turkish and Şanlıurfa dialect of Turkish? So before I start talking about the status of Sofçi, I wanted to give some kind of general information and some interesting facts about this dialect. I don't know, probably many of you guys have never heard about this dialect. So Şanlıurfa dialect is one of the many dialects of Turkish which are spoken in Turkey. And Şanlıurfa is a city which is located in the southeast part of Turkey, and it's predominantly populated by Kurdish people as well as Turks, and also there's like some number of Arabic speakers as well. So as for some interesting facts about this dialect, while in standard Turkish we have like rounding harmony and backness harmony, in Şanlıurfa dialect, we only have backness harmony. So as we can see in number 1 and 2, the example karpuz in Şanlıurfa dialect is pronounced as karpuz, karpuza, karpuzda, and karpuzdan. And for like a front vowel e, we have dil, dile, dilde, dilden. So as you can see we can see that when there's a front vowel e, the suffixes in, let's say, in dative form and locative form, instead of a, the a is appearing as a front vowel. So it shows that we have a backness harmony. And also there is another interesting thing when it comes to the vowel harmony, is the vowel remains neutral and it doesn't participate in vowel harmony. However, the backness harmony started by initial vowel in the word expressed to the vowels in suffixes. For example, we have üzüm, and in Şanlıurfa dialect, as there's no rounding harmony, in number 3, it's pronounced as üzüm. But when we have like the dative case, it becomes üzüme. It's not üzüma. So here we can see that it's a back vowel, but it's not participating in the vowel harmony. If it was, then this dative case would be a instead of e. So üzüme, üzümde, üzümden. And we can also see in number 5, like odun in standard Turkish, but in Şanlıurfa dialect it's odun, and the dative case it becomes odana, odunda, odundan. So the backness harmony that started by o is spreading to the a. So it looks like a type of distant vowel harmony. So the harmony that is being started at the initial vowel is spreading to the vowel in suffixes, but it's kind of skipping to, or the is not assimilating to the vowel harmony. Yeah, and I have some more example. It's like ışık, ışık in Urfa dialect, and it becomes ışığa, ışıqda, and ışıqdan. And as for the accusative case, a vowel again, it doesn't agree with it doesn't.
Can you enlarge that?
Enlarge? Oh. Sorry. Maybe I can go like this.
Just control and the cursor will be at the no. May I?
Oh, you mean right here? Yes. Sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah. Is it better?
Do you have? I can give.
No, but you still cannot see it.
That's okay. No.
You can come here if you want.
Is it? You guys can see it or? Okay. Is it good? Okay. So as for the accusative case, in accusative case, it doesn't even agree with backness. So as in üzüme, dile, instead of dile, it remains dile and karpuzu. Yeah. So this is some interesting facts about Şanlıurfa dialect. Oh, okay. So where am I right now? Okay. So the participants of this study was one male and one female native speakers of Şanlıurfa dialect, and the male participant is 30 years old and the female participant is 27 years old, and the stimuli, the target were embedded in target. The target words, including the phoneme corresponding to Sofçi, were presented in Şanlıurfa dialect, and the stimuli were inserted in a carrier sentence, along with some filler sentences, and participants were asked to read aloud these sentences twice. And the carrier sentence was ben sana tat 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 dedim. It means I told you. Also, the author of this study used his judgments as he's one of the native speakers of this dialect. Can you see or? Okay. So Turkish. Oh, I can. So the phonological comparison of Sofçi in standard Turkish and in Şanlıurfa dialect of Turkish. So in standard Turkish, Sofçi can appear in word final position where it's not articulated but lengthens the pronunciation of preceding vowels. So as we can see in example 1 and 2, in Turkish we say ba, t. So it so the Sofçi at the that follows a and I sound prolong the pronunciation of the vowels. But in Şanlıurfa dialect, Sofçi can appear in word final position and it's articulated as h, when preceded by a back vowel, and it's articulated as a voiced velar passive g when it's preceded by a minus back vowel, either in word final position or elsewhere. As we can see in the example number 3 and number 4, for example, chi in Turkey it's pronounced as chi, that means raw, but in Şanlıurfa we say çik. And in Turkish dialect we say eğlence, eğlence, but in Şanlıurfa dialect it's pronounced as eglence, eglence. So yeah, and actually I found something interesting in the literature. In Ottoman Turkish, Sofçi alternated between two variants in different vowel contexts. So Logency, Fuchs and Zix 2014. In the environment of front vowels, it was G, and in the G, and in the back vowel context, it was H. So.
Could you go back to full screen so the data will be a little bigger?
Full screen? Oh.
Because that would be a little
Sure.
out of all.
Now? Better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. Soft G is articulated as H in word final position when preceded by a plus back vowel, and when it's followed by a vowel, it receives voicing and pronounced as a voiced velar fricative. This is in Şanlıurfa dialect. So, for example, we say Bach, Tığ. So, when it's followed by a vowel, back vowel, it becomes Bağa, Tığa. So, H becomes R. Initially, it seemed to be like a voicing, but actually, I realized that this is a final devoicing. So, soft G is a voiced velar fricative R, but it gets devoiced when it is in a word final position. Actually, in Turkic languages, and also actually in Turkish, this is a common phenomena. So, when there is a voiced consonant in word final position, it gets devoiced. So the same thing is going on with soft G in Şanlıurfa. So yeah, and also soft G becomes a voiced velar plosive G when followed by a minus back vowel, as in 3. So cheek, it becomes cheek, and cheek becomes chike. So still, we have it doesn't delete it. It doesn't get deleted, or it just remains as a G, even it's followed by a vowel. So soft G is underlying a voiced velar fricative G, and it has two allophones: voiceless velar fricative and voiced velar fricative. Voiced velar fricative plosive G. No, not fricative. Sorry, it's voiced velar plosive. So that's a typo, I'm sorry. So soft G and regular G constitute the minimal the fact that voiced velar plosive G is an allophone of voiced velar fricative G, I question is, what about the regular G in Turkish? And then I found some minimal pairs. So soft G and regular G constitute the minimal pairs. So for example, kham means raw, gam means sorrow, gam. We say khabar means news, and geber means like you die, something like that. Go to hell, or I don't know. So yeah, this data suggests that actually regular G and soft G are separate phonemes, but they are partially overlapping based on the data that I have. So in standard Turkish, soft G can also appear in intervocalic position. When the preceding vowels and the following vowels are the same, soft G is not pronounced or becomes less audible, and it lengthens the pronunciation of the vowel as seen in 1, 2, and 5. So the first word would be pronounced as ağaç, and bu, and the fifth one will be eye. So if the following vowel is different from the preceding one, then the soft G triggers the articulation of a diphthong, according to Ergenç 1985, as in 3 or 4. So for example, number 3 it says sağır, so a, and then number 4 yoğurmak, so ou. So according to Ergenç, this could be like a diphthong, but actually Ergenç analysis raises another problem because of phonotactics of Turkish. Phonotactics constraints of Turkish, which dictates that two vowels cannot be next to each other in native words except some loan words such as saat and muracat. So in intervocalic position, the Şanlıurfa dialect doesn't allow deletion of soft G when it's preceded by a back vowel. and followed by a vowel, it's pronounced as a voiced velar fricative. For example, sağır in number 4, or yoğır in number 5, or buğı in number 2. So, so if it's preceded by a front vowel and followed by a vowel, it's pronounced as g, as in number 5. For example, Ege. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. So in standard Turkish, soft G never occurs adjacent to a voiced stops, but instead occurs adjacent to a sonorant consonant. When it's followed by a sonorant consonant, it may be articulated, but typically it lengthens the preceding vowel. On the other hand, in Şanlıurfa dialect, soft G can appear both before a voiced stop and a sonorant consonant as other consonants in Turkish. For example, in Turkish we can say dağlar, or it's possible, or it's also possible to say dağlar, like, and we can say bağlar, or it's also to say bağlar. I'm sorry, there's a typo here. So bağlar. So according to Cornfield, this is possible, but typically, you know, as I said, it prolongs the preceding vowel. However, in Turkish, you know, in Şanlıurfa dialect, we can say also in Şanlıurfa dialect we can say dağlar and we can say bağlar, but in standard Turkish we can it will be ungrammatical if you say dağda. So that the in number 1, for example, that the is a non-sonorant consonant, and when it's preceded by a soft G or r, it becomes ungrammatical. But in Şanlıurfa dialect, it is fine. So it's pronounced as dağda and bağda. Bağda, dağda. So when K and G are in word final position and followed by a suffix which has a vowel in the onset position, as in 1, 2, and 3, velar deletion applies. For example, eşek becomes eşeğe in Turkish. That means donkey. Or it was eşek, eşeğin, eşeğe. But salak, also we have that means stupid. I don't know why I picked these words, but it just... So, salak, salağa, salağın. Anyway, so unlike in standard Turkish, K and G phonemes do not trigger velar deletion in Şanlıurfa dialect. Rather, these two consonants preserve their phonetic properties. However, they demonstrate varying phonetic manifestation in different phonological environments. So, in word final position, a voiceless velar stop is articulated as a voiced velar stop G in intervocalic position when preceded by a front vowel, as in 1, for example, eşege, eşegin. Because of that it's pronounced as G, and the K consonant is pronounced as a voiceless velar fricative or velar fricative in word final position when preceded by a back vowel, and when it's intervocalic position and preceded by a back vowel, it's articulated as G, as a voiced velar fricative, as in 2, for example, salak. So they don't say salak, they say salak, and salağa, salağın. So the G phoneme is pronounced as a H in word final position, and when it's intervocalic position, it's preceded by a back vowel, it's pronounced as G, as in 3. When preceded by a minus back vowel and followed by a vowel, it's articulated as G, as in number 6. So lig, lige, lig, ligen. So discussion and conclusion. Unlike in standard Turkish, soft G in Şanlıurfa dialect always surfaces at a segmental level. It demonstrates behavior like other consonants in Turkish, you know, such as being devoiced at word final position or occurring adjacent to a non-sonorant consonant. It's underlyingly a voiced velar fricative R, and it's in a complementary distribution with voiceless fricative H and voiced velar plosive G. Based on the data presented here, this study concludes that G is a true consonant in Şanlıurfa dialect and preserves its consonantal features regardless of phonological environment in which it's found, while it still remains to be ambiguous phoneme in standard Turkish. Thanks to my professors for their feedback. Öneri Çelik, Stuart Davis. And this is my end of my presentation.
Mr. Durmaz for very interesting research about human
Thank you.
this
Thank you.
phonology. And if you have questions, yes, please.
I would suggest, Mustafa, that you would also look into the Azerbaijani language, because we have the same thing. So you have dağ, dağda, we have bağ, bağda. So you want to make that comparison.
Yeah.
And my next question is that how much does the Kurmanji dialect, is that an influence of Kurmanji dialect into this? Because you talked about dissonant vowel harmony. As all we know that Uzbek has lost its vowel harmony because of the Tajik. So can you consider those? And
Thank you
see if
very
there's
much.
any-
Yeah, thank you very much. Bring up this good point. As I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, this study is limited to Turkish and Şanlıurfa dialect. But as you mentioned, it's possible to see this sort of phoneme like r, especially r and h phonemes in Azerbaijani, or in, actually I studied Uyghur. I believe you also have in Uyghur, and also was in Ottoman. In Ottoman, actually, they also have like this h phoneme. So maybe, so I assume there are two cases. Either this vowel existed in Turkish, and it kind of gradually disappeared in standard Turkish, but in Şanlıurfa dialect we preserved it. This is one case. The other cases, as you mentioned, maybe there is like a language contact situation going on, that Kurdish has influenced maybe the Turkish speakers in Şanlıurfa. So definitely, but language contact study would be another aspect of the study. But yeah, this is an ongoing study. Still, I'm working on it, and but that's a good suggestion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, please.
So you've said there's no rounding harmony in this
Yes.
dialect.
Yeah.
But what about backness harmony? Have you done a comparison at all to how it compares here and with standard Turkish?
You mean rounding harmony with I'm sorry, can you repeat your question again?
You said there's no rounding harmony in this,
Yes.
right? But
Yeah.
what about for backness harmony? Does it show any difference from backness harmony that's observed in standard Turkish?
Yeah, I mean, in backness harmony, rounding harmony doesn't occur at all. For example, even we say gün in Turkish, that means day. In standard Turkish, it would be günsüz. But in Şanlıurfa dialect, it is günsiz. So it should, if the rounding spreads on, if rounding would spread on the suffix, it should be günsüz. But it's not the case. It's günsiz. So
It is günsiz or günsiz?
I,
Right?
günsiz, I.
Okay, so then maybe backness is also a little bit affected there.
Backness is also affected there.
Right, if it's
Maybe.
good.
I.
Although I'm kind
is
of
back.
hearing E from
Günse,
günsiz.
günse, günsiz, günsiz,
I think the comment was whether the back vowel is influencing the front vowel. Because günsüz, that's what she was trying to ask, right? You want to see if the back vowel is influencing the front, right? That's what. Yeah,
Oh,
that's what-
if back vowel is influencing front vowel? I will think about it.
Thank you very much. Next question.
Thank you, Amber.
Thanks. Well, in your conclusions, one of them was that so soft G is very much like other. I'm trying to find it.
Here?
Yes, I think so. So it's very much like other consonants in standard Turkish.
In terms of, yeah.
But in general, in standard Turkish, spirants don't have a voice alternation, whereas plosives do, right? But you're saying that this is underlyingly a spirant.
Underlyingly aspirant? Yeah. Well, actually, I haven't done like a very comprehensive analysis, but my initial assumption was that it seems to be an underlyingly voice fricative, but you're right, it might not be also underlyingly. Maybe further analysis needs to make this conclusion.
And the other thing then is that I think it was the word for raw in the dialect.
Raw? Uh-huh.
And and that doesn't have final devoicing then.
Yeah. It doesn't have what? Final devoicing?
Yeah.
It's at the beginning.
Wait, where is it?
Oh,
How do you say it? It's number 3, right?
Oh wait, sorry, it's not. Yeah. So raw. So sorry.
3 is like
3. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, number 3.
okay. So, say cheek. 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 Yeah, cheek.
Okay, so that.
Yeah.
So why is it not cheek?
Wait, it's not what?
So what was your explanation as to why that has a
My
g rather
explanation
than
is
a
this:
ka?
when soft G is being preceded by a front vowel, it's pronounced as g, like a regular g, like a what we call velar plosive g. This was my explanation. And if it is preceded by a back vowel, it becomes ch, voiceless velar fricative. That was my explanation.
Okay, but it's curious because it seems to have certain fricative-like properties and certain plosive-like properties, right? So if it's in its life as a fricative, it's unsurprising that it's voiced and not voiceless, but it's surfacing as a stop, and therefore one might think that it would have final devoicing.
Oh, like cheek? You mean like a cheek?
Yeah, yes.
Cheek. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, maybe cheek. I see. Yes. Yes.
It might also be like in standard Turkish, some monosyllabic words aren't devoiced necessarily in final
Yeah.
Right.
position.
Actually,
Maybe might
this is
be
what this is the only example that I was. Maybe there might
Right.
be some other
Right,
examples,
yeah,
but people don't really know those words, so that's why
Okay.
there are really few examples.
Okay, yeah, because I mean a disyllabic
Yeah.
example would be helpful here.
Yeah, but
Okay. Thank you very much. Now
Thank
we
you.
can have one more last question.
thank you for your question, Dr. Jackson.
I guess this isn't directly related to the G, which is very interesting. The cheek thing also happens with AR, the pronunciation of AR. I noticed it's just eger. It's not fricativized there either.
Yeah, we say eger.
Yeah, that's interesting
Eger.
too.
Yeah, eger. Yeah, not no eger. Yes.
The thing I wanted to mention is, have other people written about this long distance harmony that you've noticed, like with odun and üzüm?
Üzüm.
Yeah. What was the suffix for? It was like üzüme, right?
Yeah, üzüme. Yeah,
Yeah.
üzüme, üzümden, üzümde.
As far as I know, that kind of like long distance assimilation effect has in the past been like a really hot topic in phonology. So I don't know. I was very surprised to see that, and I think it's really cool.
It's actually it really surprised me. That's why I wanted to kind of share it before I move on to my main research, main content of this paper. So I want to kind of share it with you because it really kind of impressed me.
I think it'd be fun for learners of Turkish as a second language to learn things like about dialects of Turkish
definitely.
when they first start, because this is all totally new to me.
Yeah. Actually, there hasn't been much research on especially like
structure of this soft G in
Yeah.
standard Turkish, but actually these are not pieces of research, these are just observations.
Yeah.
And I also think, I strongly think that in standard Turkish, whatever that thing is, I mean, you know, Marcel also
As you
speaks standard
mentioned.
Turkish, and I do speak standard Turkish, but we have different pronunciations. So, my impression is that it's also a true consonant in standard Turkish. So, and it behaves like one in morphophonological alternations. But you seem to be using the same phonetic symbol for both this dialect as well as for standard Turkish. So this
Yeah.
gamma thing,
Right.
which I think it's in standard Turkish. If it is realized as a consonant, it's not a fricative. And this thing keeps appearing in descriptions on Turkish, which is completely false. It's not a h in standard Turkish. It's more of an approximate.
Right.
It's a sonorant sound. In
Right.
fact, the only phonetic study is CeLCAR 1979. It's a great piece of work. And if you read her work, she says explicitly that all of the phonetic cues that she analyzes actually strongly suggest that this is a sonorant approximant. So a sonorant
Turkish.
consonant, which would be an approximant. So it's definitely not a fricative. So you shouldn't be using the same.
Okay.
So if you go back to your tables, you keep.
Maybe I can use like a uvular.
Yeah, but you seem to be actually, like for the vowel that's not the IPA symbol. In fact, you're using what I'm actually saying. That's the the one with the long tail.
Oh, it's a long,
is actually the approximant,
Right.
the velar approximant,
Right.
which is what is occurring in standard Turkish if
Right.
it's realized as a consonant. If you're not
So it should be a
deleting
little
it.
shorter then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sorry, that's a typo. Thank you very much for bringing that up.
Okay, now
I will
let's take
change
the
it,
last
definitely.
question from Mr. Marcel.
I have two remarks. First of all, we don't have to go all the way to Azeri. Very close to where Urfa is, there is the Turkmen, the Iraq Turkmen who don't speak Turkmen, they speak a local dialect. And that's closer, that's sort of one area. Secondly, there's one word among the words you mentioned, bu, which didn't have, haze, which did not have a G. It was just a long vowel. And so that means that this G is probably secondary in any case. It was not bur in any stage of Turkic, any form of
Oh,
Turkic.
okay, I see.
It's just bu. So I would think that this is a strengthening of these glides which there are, sort of.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much for bringing up that.
Okay, we thank you very much.
Thank you very much.